All right, hello. My name's Jeremy Perkins. I'm the owner and founder of the Goats Forge, and today I want to present to you phase two of our plan, the Forge and Brew House. I grew up in a family business, a bowling alley, where I was a short order cook, mechanic, and a bartender. And then today I come to you with 27 years of naval leadership management experience, where I've earned my bachelor's degree from Emory-Riddle, and I've got over 10 years of blacksmithing experience. And during that blacksmithing experience is where I found my true passion, and that is uniting yesterday's craftsmen with today's society. So every time I swing a hammer, a crowd gathers, and blacksmithing has played such an important role throughout our world's history that often goes unnoticed. Wars have been won and lost, and communities have risen and fallen due to the ability or the inability of the blacksmith to do his job. He made and repaired all the tools for the local tradesmen and the farmers, to include the weapons for the armies. If he failed, they failed. The problem today is that to see a blacksmith in action, most times you have to go to a museum, pay the overhead to get in just to see them do their art. And we want to pull the art of blacksmithing out of the museums and closer to the public, closer to you. And our venue is going to do just that. We're going to utilize a 2x5 barrel brewing system, an all grain system, to locally brew our craft beer right there on station. We're going to pull signature dishes out of Western New York for our food, to include some local marinades and local sauces that are local to Rochester, New York, and then the smithy will be right there on station as well. Um, so, a 2020 census shows that there's 1.3 million people between Jacksonville and St. Johns County, Florida, and there's about 3 ornamental ironworkers in the local area there. And we're going to welcome all ages. We're not just going to welcome all ages. We want to interact with all ages, and we're looking to target 2.6% of that population annually. So there's 350 breweries in the state of Florida, 30 of which reside in Jacksonville, Florida, and then 10 in St. Johns County. And again, there's 3 local ornamental iron workers that work in the local area there. We're going to start promoting our business through social media, and then Mint Magazine, which goes out to the entire population up there. Um, and if we can meet our percentage goals shown on the board for our interaction and our conversion of the local area annually, and we'll be able to secure 31,500 points of sale annually as our target goal. And that breaks down to 600 sales per week with an average cost of $35 per each sale, which would yield 1.1 million in revenue and a 15% profit margin, which would be 165,000, and we'd be operating well within our expenses of 935,000. That $35 is based off of 2 main dishes and 1 beer being sold on average. All right, and we're targeting that our annual revenue will come 50% from our food sales, 45% from our beer sales, and then 5% from the smithy or from the forge. And again, the forge is not there for the main revenue builder, it's for the attraction for people to come see. So our value proposition, we're going to boldly bring artistic ironwork visible to the public with finely crafted beer. So when you walk into the restaurant, the brewery, you're going to walk into an industrial revolution atmosphere. You're going to have machines on display and in use that built America. Ideally to the left-hand side, behind a glass wall, you'll see all the brewing equipment. And then on the right-hand side, there'll be another glass wall with a door to walk into the smithy area with some high top and low top tables to be able to interact with the blacksmith on duty. And then, so with the sales between the food and the beer, there's going to be also blacksmithing classes and products for sale there as well. And then at the end of the day, we want to get that feedback from all the customers to improve our process and continue to spread the art of blacksmithing. So my team, myself, my internal team teamed up with PNC Bank already, and we're looking to team up with USAA and H&R Block for our taxes. And then our external team is US Foods and the Berman Brothers Steel Company out of Jacksonville, Florida, for all of our metal needs. My advisory team is backed with Marge Cirillo. She's the SBDC business advisor out of Jacksonville. She's a restaurant entrepreneur and a former banker and loan specialist. Mr. Gregory Grant, he is the small and emerging business administrator for the city of Jacksonville. And Ethel Perkins ran and operated a bar and bowling alley for 28 years. And the latest addition is Ron Gamble, Veterans United Brewing out of Jacksonville, Florida. So currently we've got $45,000 invested, and that takes care of the forge or the smithy side of the house. And we're looking at an additional $200,000 for startup costs to start the rest of the business, to include the beer brewing machine equipment and space rehab and some working capital, because it's going to take about 2 months to get enough beer in stock to be able to open our doors. So some of our major risks, we believe, are the number of breweries around Jacksonville, uh, and then the startup cost. But we believe that with bringing the blacksmithing to the venue, we'll supersede all those risks. We'll be able to do everything all the other breweries can do. We're going to brew the great beer. We're going to bring the food. We can do the date, or not the date night, the trivia night, the bands. We can do all that stuff. But we can also do the one thing that they can't do, and that's to interact the art of blacksmithing with the general public. With that being said, we're seeking either an investor or a mentor to help turn vision into reality. Thank you.
All right, I guess I'll get started. So, fantastic idea. I love it. I do have a question about liability. There's probably not a lot of metrics out there for the insurance companies to work off their charts on that. So, can you talk a little bit? Have you talked a little bit about liability and safety concerns that some of the insurance companies might have?
Yes, sir. Great question. During the public venues that I've done, the demonstrations, creating that distance, that barrier to keep a safe distance between the hot metal and the public or the viewing audience. But reaching out, I've not reached out to any insurance companies yet. I will find one. If we can zip line across an alligator pit, we can figure out an insurance venue.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So you mentioned that you need of 200,000, that you have 45K into it already, and that's on the blacksmithing side. 200K, is that for the beer and the restaurant and the kitchen? That's your projection of cost?
Yes, sir. Great question. So the kitchen side of the house, ideally, we're going to start up like a food truck or concession trailer, and looking into that. It's about 25 to $40,000 to start that. Then the beer brewing side of the house, a 2x5 barrel system, can be purchased for between 80 and 100,000. And then the furniture and the is going to be locally made by myself, and the items on display for the Industrial Revolution items, that's all going to come out of personal collection.
Okay.
You mentioned that you're planning to target 2.6% of the population between Jacksonville and St. Johns County. Can you elaborate a little bit on your marketing plan and how you intend to do that?
Yes, excuse me. So first and foremost, just the Mint magazine will go out to all the residents in town, and then our location alone and word of mouth is what we're going to start off with, and then some local advertising, billboards and things like that, or other local venues.
So I'm just concerned. So on the operating expenses side, what are you going to be doing with the blacksmithing, products and equipment? What's not sold? Is that being recycled somewhere else, or is that being sold at another place? Like, what are you going to do with that?
For the items made.
Yeah, so the whole concept, right, is the blacksmithing side, right, where you're producing products like on the back end.
Correct.
So how does that look like with what you're in terms of the materials that cost? Like, are you just once you build something and it's not bought, are you just throwing that out, or what does that look like?
No, sir, I won't be throwing it out. Too much blood, sweat, and tears going into it. So the products that we're making there, we can make tomahawks for and axes for axe throwing, stuff like that, to where a customer can take the class, buy the product, and go home with it. There's a lot of right now like outdoor cooking style products, decorative hanging hooks and things like that. So if it doesn't sell right there on station, then the online store will be selling it there too. And if we have to do craft shows to get some product out there, we'll go down that venue.
One last question too. So, from the start of the slide, what was your previous company experience? Like, what did you start before, and this is your phase two?
So
Going into
the
after that.
great. So doing the hobby as a blacksmith
Mhm.
and underneath the Goat's Forge, I recently, within the last 2 months, created an LLC with that. So that's where we're just turning a hobby into a business, and then just dealing with or doing the public demonstrations and the interaction with everybody and the questions that they have while I'm blacksmithing. I want to fulfill that vision of bringing it out of the museum and just closer to the public.